That's a good way of putting it. So we've been gone for like, months.
Yeah, a little bit, about a little, close to 2 months here, a month and 3 weeks.
I mean, last time we left off, things were looking very bullish, and then we crashed, and now we've recovered, and things kind of are back to the range that we've always been in, right? I mean, we're like moving up today, close to 57K. And I think just waiting for October.
I love that. I love October. Yeah, dude, it's literally like we never left. I know last time we checked, we always start off the episodes talking about our price predictions. Both of us went up for once. I usually have been in that sort of choppy range, but yeah, we definitely sold off pretty drastically. Almost got back to 50K. I don't know about you. I personally bought a ton of Bitcoin, not a ton. I just continued to hit the buy button until I was like, all right, that's enough for now. And we went below 54K. So I was pretty happy with that. Happy to see us rebounding this week. It's just kind of the same old. We've just been chopping. I think it's the election year. People aren't really sure what's going on. So I think any kind of sell pressure, I usually like to buy into. And then if we see a big pump later on following this week, we'll definitely try to sell some stuff there. I'm excited to chat though, Af, because I think there's some really good opportunities in this market still. And I know that you've been lock center on this fractal stuff. So definitely want to talk to you about that today.
You know what? We can start there first. Fractal Bitcoin Network went live today. There was an initial inscription mint that happened. The first one is named Flux. So I don't know if you remember when these new protocols came out, like CBRC20, and there was like a stealth mint of Board, and then you had like those STX20 coins, and they were minting those. So we're kind of like in that meta again. So I did see Flux mint today. I think I got one mint in before it went like out of stock. It went pretty quick. There's no indexer, so you don't even really know if you got it or not.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's crazy. That's how early it is. So probably a few more days until there's an indexer. And then there was a second coin that came out by some OMB holder by the name of something Hawk. So he released a token named Hawk. So that also minted out. Again, no indexer. There's like an Inscribe website. Let me drop the link. It's where you can deploy tickers and also mint these tickers that are on Fractal in about, call it like 5-6 days when we hit block 210,000. I'm sorry, not 210,000, 21,000. That's when we're going to see kind of like ordinals go live on Fractal. And there's a lot of projects lined up to like trying to be the first, because you want to get like that first inscription. So it's like that, that numbers meta again on Fractal. And then I think at block 210,000, that's when runes go live. So there's definitely things to get into. I've been sort of like lukewarm on Fractal, but I do see the hype happening. I do see a lot of activity going on. And I feel like I have to start really paying attention because you got to be dialed in and be in your groups to find out when these like stealth things are dropping here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. I know you hit my DMs earlier today. Were telling me that there's a lot of stealth drops happening, and I like the stealth drop over the planned releases. I think those are the things a lot of the times that can really be good cookers for people in terms of multipliers, because when there's a hype drop and everyone's kind of glued to it, it one, limits your chances of getting in, but it also means that the people who do get in have a lot of incentive to just dump right away. Like they know they can get a small premium and people kind of just take that. When there's a stealth drop, it's really just incentivizing the people who are there, who are actually in the trenches, who, are familiar with the new technology coming out to be those holders. And usually with stealth drops, the people who hold, I would say in general, are a little bit stronger a bag holder, because there's not just like a guaranteed profit. You're just kind of there and hoping to see what happens. But definitely back in like the NFT days, we would just see a really strong, appeal to some of those stealth drops. So that's an exciting narrative there.
Yeah, I want to say the other one that I've been paying attention to is that, a lot of people are trying to mine fractal Bitcoin, and they're renting out rigs and kind of like doing the math to see if it's profitable or not, based on like how much it costs to rent, how much fractal they're mining. So like some of these ordinals that came out recently, like those ASIC miners and those FSIC miners, like just based on like their hash rates that they have for their rigs, like some of these prices have gone down on them because like they don't have the capacity to really mine fractal effectively. So people are out there arbitraging mining for fractal. Fractal's trading at around like $13, so it's a pretty good price right now. I think fully diluted, it's a couple billion. So I think it'll, as more supply hits the market, the price will go down. But again, there's definitely opportunity there right now.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's pretty exciting just to see a new protocol come out and have so much attention, especially when the market, at least for ordinals and runes, has really slowed a lot. We're not seeing as much volume on a lot of these projects. I mean, that's just most of crypto at this point. So just to see a movement gain that much popularity is pretty exciting. And yeah, I definitely have to take your word at it in terms of the fractal stuff. I didn't realize it was separate from traditional Bitcoin. I thought it was just going to be a separate network, but you're saying people are actually mining fractal?
Yeah, so each block goes in like 30 seconds. So just remember, like fractal is basically like an entirely different blockchain, but they got the name Bitcoin in it, and you got Unisat and like that Bitcoin feel to it, and you have it, and it's backed by Binance. So like pretty much if you're using the Bitcoin Unisat wallet, there's like a drop down within the wallet, and you can like flip over to the Fractal network and then start using that same Unisat wallet for Fractal. Based on like some of your Unisat activity, you might have been eligible for airdrop, which went directly into your wallet. So I got like 40 Fractals Bitcoins to sit in there, and I used some to mint. But so like you're gonna need some Fractal if you want to like get active in minting stuff. So I would and it's right now there's no market for it, so I don't even know if OTC is set up, but there's probably some OTCs out there. Or just like, buy from someone who has it. Like I just recommend getting your hands on some Fractal so you could get involved in like these mints that cost like, 0.05, Fractal. Like they don't cost much, but you just need Fractal.
Oh, that's so sick. Was there anything you need to do to claim that airdrop, or is that just like a tried and true airdrop? Just check your wallet, it could be there.
I mean, Unisat had some criteria, based on like your Unisat points, if you use the swap, if you bought on their marketplace. So like, there's like, as many as you check off is like, you can maximize up to 50 Fractal Bitcoin airdrop. So like, you might as well go, there's a website you could check. And it should be there anyway by now, but you could check to see if you're eligible without, going onto the Fractal network. But yeah, you might have some in your wallet, right? Just from like your Bitcoin activity.
Oh, dude, I love that. I'm gonna have to take a look as soon as our episode wraps up here. But that's pretty exciting. Yeah, I didn't really realize that it was a completely separate network. I thought it was just going to be similar to runes on Bitcoin, where you're still transacting and Bitcoin is the denomination currency. So we'll see. I think similar to runes, a lot of that is going to be contingent on adoption of the technology and what's going on over there. I think you nailed it though, Waf, where, if these things are a few Fractal to mint, it makes total sense to be over there. If there's an airdrop with Fractal, definitely agree with you. I think the price would probably cool off a little bit as more supply is introduced. But the fact that people are able to mine for it right now, people can be really excited for any narrative of this is the beginning of something. And, we've seen it with projects like Sui and Sei. Any kind of new chain that just emerges does have that sort of speculative hype of, if everyone uses this chain and if it has this value that, the traditional Bitcoin chain doesn't have to offer, then who knows? Moon price target insert right there. So definitely think it makes sense to spend some time in the ecosystem. And I know as early as a few weeks ago, or maybe even a month ago at this point, you were saying that there was definitely some cooks that were pre-Fractal. So I'm sure there'll be some more cooks post-Fractal.
Yeah, it seems like the pre-Fractal meta didn't fully play out. Like you could have made some money on like some of these opportunities, but I think just based on this mining difficulty when it comes like to these miners, it didn't really work out. But now that we're live, I think you're gonna see the opportunities, like on the actual production chain. I want to say, like, you do have some time before like the ordinals come out on Fractal. So since it's gonna come out on like block 21,000, you figure it's probably averaging about 3,000 blocks a day, because it's like one block every 30 seconds. So like you should be ready with Fractal by Sunday if you want to get involved on like a low inscription ordinal. And I think one of the ones that's on my radar is Fractal Goosenals, which I think they're trying to deploy to be like one of the first 10K collections on Fractal Bitcoin. And I don't know if you recall like how the Goosenals mint went, where they had like that Goosenals sort of like generator, and you kind of created your own Goosenal, and then you save the file and then you inscribed it. So it's going to work very similarly. I know people are already like downloading and saving Goosenals to like do that when the Fractal Goosenals come out. But I think the art's going to be a little different, so I would be a little leery of that. But look for like these collections that are going to try and be like the first 10K collection on Fractal.
Yeah, I think that's a slam dunk play, Lav, honestly. I mean, I'm definitely going to try to get some Fractal. Hopefully I got some on the airdrop and can just store that away. But, I mean, any collection that's the first of its kind is kind of just a built-in floor. Anything can really happen, but I definitely think that if you're able to get in close to mint or at mint, like, there's really no reason not to try to do it the first of its kind. There's definitely going to be some barrier, as you said. There's not really an indexer around or a marketplace set up. But that was the same exact thesis that initially led us into NatCats. It was a new type of technology. It wasn't fully indexed, so there was some information asymmetry there, and the play worked beautifully for people who were in off mint or sooner. Not sooner, shortly after. So definitely for these fractals, if people start making money off mint, which I'm sure a lot of people will early on, you could just see more and more people start to speculate in that ecosystem, and then first project or first 10K project, always a really solid bet for where people are going to speculate. So I love that, Wes.
Yes, I just dropped a Discord for this Inscribe Discord. So they're the ones that created the Minter Deployer website, and they're the ones that are going to come out with the indexer. So like they've kind of like jumped the gun and are ahead of everybody. So I would be on the lookout for when things are getting indexed in this Discord.
You're dropping the alpha as always. Dude, super appreciate it, Raf. Is there more on fractals? I know that we have a bit of a tighter show, so I definitely want to hear any and all thoughts you have on fractals, but I also want to potentially use this as a segue to get to the drops that JD has highlighted for us this week.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's sort of like the rundown on Fractal, and it does segue perfectly into some of those upcoming mints that JD dropped for us. And I don't know if you're going to drop it, but like the one that I think is very notable is Taproot Witches. I think that one is a hot whitelist. I would be looking to get that one as well. I think there's like Fractal Punks, because you always got punks on every new chain, so that might do okay. And then we could go through the rest of JD's list here.
Perfect. Yeah, let's definitely do it. So I just posted in voice hangout chat. Once again, these are courtesy of JD. So please throw him a bless there, just for always continuing to gather this for the community. He does this with his free time, and I just don't know how he does it every week so seamlessly, but he does such a good job of just getting information on upcoming drops. But absolutely, and calling out the punks on every chain. Wow, I think notably here for me, Fractal Puppets. I think that's going to be a really nice play for people, just because, puppets are still iconic to the ordinal community. I definitely think puppets definitely still crazy and support other puppet projects. So I don't think there's going to be any shortage of people going for those. And the punks are really relevant on Ethereum and even had success on Solana. I think especially for, ordinals, puppets are more synonymous with Bitcoin than punks are. So I could really see a situation where these fractal puppets do well. I'm not saying they're going to do anything crazy like surpass ordinal puppets, but I definitely think people are going to want them. And, if you're getting them for mint, you could probably make maybe a 2 to 3x, depending on, what the market's dictating.
Yeah, so like here we have which is something very different than say what I was just talking about with like the fractal Gusanos, where this is like getting minted on Bitcoin, right? And then I guess somehow they're going to bridge or migrate or something like that to fractal, whereas like fractal Gusanos is going to be like the first actual like inscribing and minting on the fractal chain after block 21,000. So I think there is a difference there. So here, this is like playing sort of like the pre-fractal meta, even though fractal is live. So I'm not really sure how well fractal puppets will do. But it's very cheap and it's still worth monitoring for sure.
Absolutely. I thought another one that kind of stood out to me here from this list was the Bitcoin Bangers. I've seen artwork like them do pretty well in the past. We are really past the ordinal craze. I think there's a good chance we come back into it at some point. We've always just talked about like if Bitcoin can break that 70K all-time high area and kind of push higher, a lot of hype and speculation should flow back into ordinals. So we're kind of waiting on that. I think the Bangers have pretty good artwork. I think we have seen artwork that's sort of similar. It's sort of this like punk, not crypto punk, but like punk grunge kind of style. It's a little bit, street artsy, kind of graffiti-esque style. Also just got the notification, Bitcoin now above 58K. How do you like that, Laugh?
Dude, that's like a huge move. I feel like I saw it under 57 like a couple hours ago. That's awesome.
Dude, likewise. So I thought that was pretty cool. As always, just supply concerns on the Bitcoin Bangers. There's only 333 of them. So, always advise this, but for smaller collection projects, would definitely try to get your trading done within 24 hours. Usually see smaller collections that don't have historical significance or notable artists behind them kind of fade into the background because there's just a harder time getting people who are interested in them. But I thought the art was really cool there. And I also forgot to post, but JD sent us this really nice list from Exaverse, which is the weekly top 20 sales of whitelists. And notably on there is the Taproot Witches, which you just called out, Laugh. Do you want to give any information there? I'm going to just post a screenshot into chat while you're doing that.
I mean, they look like pretty much like Taproot Wizards, and I think that there's just like a lot of buzz in the community for it, and it's been like a hot raffle, and people are trying to get it. So like that's perfect right there, that chart you're showing. So like that just kind of tells you people are bullish on it. I wouldn't be surprised in a scenario where like this thing runs for a few days and like people will be like surprised at how well it performs, because I think some people that are like kind of really dialed in, like OGs in the space, like they seem to be really bullish on it.
Yeah, I know there has been that narrative going around. I'm personally a bit of a fader on it just because I'm not sure who's behind the project, and if it ends up being Udi or other people associated with Taproot, I would feel a lot better about it. But I've even seen, I'm pretty glued into the wizard community for Magic Internet Money. I saw that they were considering doing like Bitcoin Witches, which is supposed to be the Bitcoin Wizards, the ones that are getting airdropped eventually Magic Internet Money. So it seems like this is sort of just a cash grab derivative, at least in my mind, right? Like we've always heard about the Wizards. They haven't even come out yet, and we're sort of front running with the derivative. So I don't think you're wrong at all. I think there is hype. I do think that those whitelists could go for a lot more later on and down the line because it's only about $100 right now, which in crypto isn't a whole lot. But I think long term, I would expect those witches to kind of burn off a little bit unless there is some legitimate association with Taproot Wizards.
Oh, absolutely. But like, it wouldn't surprise me if they could run to like $400 or $500 a pop in the first like 24 to 48 hours. And, you could make like a 3-4x trading it. Like that's kind of like the play, in my opinion here. Pretty much for anything until we're fully back. That's pretty much what I put all new collections on as far as like their peak potential. Because there's no like blue chip coming down the pipe right now. Not that I see anyway.
No, I totally agree with you there, Laugh. So glad we're lockstep in that as per usual. I definitely agree. Like the market's bored, so if there's something that's hype, artificial or not, definitely seems like there could be some price action. But just want to make sure the audience is on the same page that we're not expecting like a new blue chip here from Taproot, which that could be something cool. Did want to shout out really quickly since I just see G6 join the stream. How dare you beat JD in the opening week of fantasy football, dude. After he put that list together for us, just unacceptable. I told JD I'd shout you out G6, but come on, bro. You gotta give JD a dub. Not cool.
G6 also cool people. JD's very cool. So you know what? Someone's got to win. Someone's got to lose. You know, it's just the way it goes.
Dude, of course. No, it's all love, G6. We're just giving you a hard time. I promised JD I'd give him a shout out because he told us you beat him this week. But congrats. Hope you got a good team. And shout out WAF, dude. I love your hot take field report. I got to say, I'm just fired up for fantasy this year, man. So I definitely want to talk to you more about it. Maybe we can start building in a little segment on boss dogs here if the market stays a little bit slower. You know, it's Monday right after the Sunday games, but I had an absolute blast just reading your hot takes. I agree with almost all of them, so I just loved it, dude. Big shout out to your field report.
Thank you. You know, it was all in fun, just sort of like, you know, as a fan watching the games, like, you know, getting pissed about something or being happy about something. So it wasn't meant to be like super serious or anything. But a couple of things I think I do believe. But thanks, appreciate that.
Dude, of course. And I mean, I think that's the whole spirit of fantasy, right? It is all fun at the end of the day, but you're allowed to get heated over it. I know I was screaming a lot on Sunday with Marvin Harrison getting literally one target. That was just baffling.
That's destroyed me, bro. My God, this guy.
Yeah, Jinzo. I might have to shout out myself, dude. I'm hoping Debo puts
Hey,
for you, bro.
Debo's about to get 30 points. That ruin your hopes, okay?
Dude, he better not. I'm gonna make some
against the Jets is gonna be very hard. Against the Jets, it's gonna be very, very hard for him to.
There we go, dude. G6 taking like an absolute champ. There we go. Of course. Glad you enjoyed the shout out, dude. But yeah, WAF. So I wanted to talk to you because I know we got a shorter episode this week, but beyond fractals, I do think there's some really good opportunities in ordinals land. I saw notably over the weekend, and I'm not sure what the price point is today, but I saw Node Monkeys went below 0.1 for the first time in a really long time. I actually don't know the last time I remember them below 0.1. Might have been very briefly, like a couple weeks ago when Bitcoin kind of flash crashed. And it looks like that price action is going down again. Puppets, similar situation. They're like 0.07. I'm not sure the exact price today, but in that range. And we've seen before, like when Bitcoin corrects, those collections can shoot up very quickly. So at least in my mind, you know, there's still some risk involved where I'm not just saying go out and ape wildly, but you do have a decent chance if you get Node Monkeys or Puppets at this price that when Bitcoin does correct and goes higher, you know, that's where we've seen stuff like, okay, Node Monkeys go from 0.1 to 0.13. So there's a decent chance at like a 30% uptick at some point on some sweeps there. And, you know, just before, you know, we've talked about it, but that strategy of buying when you think the bottom's in and then recycling that to get, you know, 0.01 to 0.03 Bitcoin, that adds up really quickly. So definitely something that's like front and foremost on my radar here for just the upcoming couple of days and weeks.
Oh, if it wasn't for Fractal, I think we would be leading with this story. Have you noticed all the ordinal FUD that was going on? So I could tell you sort of like the background of why Node Monkeys went down, because Raktoshi came out and said he was a co-founder along with Casey Rotemer of Ordinals, right? And he said that he was dropping collections anonymously to keep Ordinals going, because in the beginning it wasn't going. He said he even claimed to drop Bitcoin Shrooms and a few other collections. And then as soon as he tweeted that, Casey came out and debunked him. And then there was like this whole back and forth and FUD. And then people came out saying Raktoshi's like a terrible guy, and he's like always trying to sue people. And there was like this extreme FUD going on in the space. So I don't know. I think people get salty when price is low, and I think that was like the bottom signal. If I've ever seen a bottom signal before, like that had to be it.
Dude, no kidding. Yeah, I've been, you know, touching grass a lot, so I mainly just monitor the prices these days and stay look out for any hot drops. But that is crazy. I definitely did not realize the FUD there, but I mean, you nailed it, dude. That is like bottom signal type of FUD when you have the founder of Ordinals arguing with a notable founder in the space. Like, that's Raktoshi. That's not nobody. And, you know, whatever the claims are, good or bad, I think, like, all FUD is good FUD, as the old adage goes. Not always, but a lot of times it is. I think just the fact that there's sort of some discrepancy over that, you might have some prices that are artificially sold off. definitely still some uncertainty as to where Bitcoin price action goes. But yeah, some of these collections, again, like one concept that I just love with trading is VWAP, and just the idea that prices tend to gravitate towards sort of the median or mean price over a period of time. And we're really below where they were a few months ago. They definitely were way above that. And obviously, ordinals less than a year ago were below the levels that they're at now. So even though in the short term it might seem like we've fallen a really long way, there still could be that reversion back to prices a few months ago. So I still think looking at ordinals and waiting for a good dip buy opportunity makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I completely agree. And then like on the FUD with No Monkeys, like after he's been essentially called like a bad dude by everybody in the space, and the fact that we know that Node Monkeys founders, right, hold 1,000 Node Monkeys, so people are FUDing like that fact that he holds 1,000 of these things, so he's made a lot of money on the collection. But be that as it may, I think at 0.119. And after all that FUD, it's basically flat over the past week, and along with the Bitcoin price, that's not a bad deal. Bitcoin Puppets, I think, kind of has shown some resiliency too. That's pretty much like my number one target when I lend on Liquidium, is to lend against Bitcoin Puppets, and I lend at like 0.063. So I got like that spread in place. So if someone defaults on that loan, like I'm making like a 0.02 profit. Or I just make the interest and they pay it back. So like that's what I've been doing on Liquidium, just trying to loan against Puppets. And then the other one I really like to loan against is NatCats, because I don't know if you noticed about NatCats. Like NatCat floor, went to 0.028, went all the way back down to like 0.0145, something like that. And now we're back at 0.019 with maybe like one or two sales to 0.02, maybe like 10 sales away from 0.025. I just think the floor on NatCats, it's super thin. You got like one whale that's literally like just flooring 5 to 10 at a time, and the price kind of goes down a bit, and then it just immediately shoots back up. So I just think NatCats is like really primed, and I know I've said that a lot, but I really do think like this floor has been really hardened, and it's gonna move like really well. Plus, we got that block drop. We had that call with EV. So when that block drop comes out, I just think that's gonna be bullish for DMT and stuff. So NatCats has still been on my radar. I think OMBs, they've been kind of like lagging a bit. They're at 0.152, but I think in November they're dropping like the next iteration of their collection, so sort of like another color eyes. So we've seen time and time again when OMBs are dropping like another collection, that they reward their holders with like a lot of the drop or at a lower price. But and we see typically the ordinal run up in price prior to the mint. So I think it's actually a really good time to get OMBs right now, knowing that in November we probably got a mint, and like this floor price could easily double by then.
That's a great call there, Lath. Yeah, I definitely think it makes sense to get it now before that drop happens, because we've seen like usually when a collection releases a derivative afterwards, the price will go down. So definitely could see prices going up in anticipation of that. Definitely have seen that Quantum Cat's still holding somewhat well, all things considered. And JD actually did just drop that the founder of the Quantum Cat's children's book is the creator of The Witches. So there's a bit of a connection there, the Taproot Witches that we brought up earlier. But yeah, I definitely love that strategy. Wow, I still have to look more into Liquidium. I just really haven't been super hands-on with the crypto lately. It's just been a lot of kicking back, setting and forgetting. But definitely want to get back into it. But great shouts all around there. Anything else that is top of mind with the ordinals and Bitcoin ecosystem, or should we sort of broaden it up and round out today's episode with just some broad market chat or anything else going on?
Well, I just say like, some of my initial thoughts have changed a bit, where I thought runes would be sort of like the first to recover and rebound, but like now I'm in the camp that I think ordinals will actually rebound first. And so I'm looking to play ordinals like over runes. Like I've been holding my runes. Maybe when this fractal thing goes live and the bridge and all that, like I don't know if that's gonna give runes like a bump up. I'm not really sure, but I just think ordinals, I don't know. It just feels like it's getting closer to ordinal season to me.
I love the laugh. I mean, I definitely feel it, dude. Like, I really do think that even though they've been beaten down, the Ordinals just have that aura and that feel to them. Like, so much of crypto is just vibes based. Like, if you think about, okay, why did something like WIF do so well? Like, why is something like Pepe so high, right? Like, there's just very, very few use cases for WIF and Pepe, and that's not me discrediting what they're doing. It's giving, acknowledgement to it's a vibe. Like, it's a whole vibe there. So, when you look at sort of where we're at and just what kind of communities have formed around ordinal projects, they really do have a vibe to them. And it's a bit far away from its peak. Like, I just remember a few months ago, it was like my whole timeline was Nat Cats and Puppets and Node Monkeys, and there was just this constant fight for the spotlight, but it was all a fight within the Ordinals ecosystem. And now there's still a lot of coins and other stuff that sort of fragmented off and stole attention. But it seems like things have really cooled off. I mean, even today, I know we had that somewhat notable drop on Blast, that Machi token, and that only got to 10 mil. If you look like a few months ago, right, we had Solana coins just day after day, random shit coins popping off to 10 mil with no reason at all. And we're not seeing that as much anymore. So this really does feel like pseudo bottom or close to bottom territory where there's just not much going on. And it's usually out of those just dull periods that you can really start to see those sparks and those flares in the whole ecosystem and bring it back to life. So, again, I don't really ever give a timeline or an exact date of when that's going to happen, but it just seems like we're still in this chop range and we're just waiting for that big spark. But I do like that call. I think the communities that have not gone to zero yet in Ordinals are probably going to stick around once the volume comes back, right? Because they're still sticking around now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I've been noticing some of these Discords, like, they're still dropping alpha, there's still activity, so I don't think they're dead. And to your point about the Machi, I mean, like a 2x on a pre-sale with like that type of big name, like that's pretty disappointing in my opinion. That's why I've been trying to stay away from pre-sales. I did that pre-sale a long time ago, that GM one. I don't know if you did that one, and like that was looking super bullish, but it took forever to get the coin and it turned out to be not so bullish. I just think where we are in the cycle, I feel like, I like to listen to Raoul Paul, and like, he always says like, don't fuck it up. And I think like a lot of times here, it's like you're just better off sitting in your majors, your major alts, and like just try not to fuck it up with too much shitcoining, because like we're gonna run, and just don't waste it, really.
Absolutely. So that can bring us to some broader market stuff. But before we do that, I do want to plug. This is pretty exciting, Laugh. We talk about, not a ton dropping in the bear market, but a big drop coming up is MVHQ, a brand new piece in the content showcase. We got the start of the week front loaded with Wake and Jake and Boss Dogs. And we're now rounding out the week on Thursdays with a new show hosted by Silva and Ezrin. I'm super excited to tune in for it because both of those guys are some brainiacs. It's going to be called Fantasy Top Down, and from my understanding, it's going to be talking about Fantasy Top a little bit. Silva, I know you're there. If you want to just pop in, give us a little elevator pitch of the show before Raph and I do our thing and wrap it up. But stoked for the new show. So, Silva, if you want to just pop in here, let the audience know what they can tune in and when, that'd be awesome. And Silva, if you're not prepared to speak, Mike, if you want to hop in here real quick. If not, I got you, but I'm stoked for that. That is a huge drop from our team.
Yeah, all good. Appreciate the plug there, Big Ross. We are going to roll out Fantasy Top Down, hosted by Ezrin and Silva every Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern. Just like Ross said, it'd be a nice little bookend on the week for all of us on the content side and on the community side as well. Get you some alpha on Fantasy Top as things have kind of been ramping up over on that side of things. A big player base, one that continues to expand. It seems like their active users are growing week to week as well. So excited to get this in the fold here. We'll talk about strategy, insights, do some pack rips, hopefully onboard some new players as well. At least that will be some of the goals that we look to accomplish with the show. And we'll see how it goes from there. So I appreciate the plug again, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Thank you, Big Mike. See you Thursday.
Love seeing the whole, content team just expanding, and like, I think at some point we can have like daily shows, man. The way we have like enough talent in MVHQ with the knowledge they have, like I would love to see a Relic, fantasy sim, pod. That would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be so sick. Rob, I was thinking with your go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, I was just going to agree. Yeah, that'd be awesome. As always, the balance is, just balancing bandwidth of everyone involved. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I think that would be an awesome show. WAF, and something we could look to, maybe if not a recurring show, at least an office hours type thing or something like that.
Yeah, also I would like to see. I know like Fridays we kind of informally talk about the slate. Like I love doing that. We had to kind of like cut it short this past Friday. I didn't have that much time, so I would love to do something like that, like every Friday. And then honestly, I don't even mind like a Monday look back. Like I just feel like we just have so much DFS players in our group that we can easily do like a couple shows a week on just NFL DFS.
Totally, man.
Dude.
To establish the Run Discord version 2.
You stole my thunder there, WAF. I was gonna call Mike after the show and be like, "Bro, we need content." But yeah, dude, your field report today really inspired me. Where I was just like, I'm looking for people to talk fantasy to, because I watch all these games, and my girlfriend could not give less of a shit about fantasy sports. So I'm looking to talk to the MVHQ familia here for some recaps. I got to let someone know my frustrations and my pride about what's going on in the old DFS land.
Dude, I love it. I love how involved Jinzo is in the chat, man. And sorry I beat your ass this week, but I had to take the win.
Oh, dude, is this you beat Jinzo today, dude? It's about to be a Boss Dogs beat down on Jinzo this week. Once Debo puts up absolute zilch in this game, I'm facing Jinzo in the staff league, so Jinzo is going to just be getting tackled by the Monday show.
There we go.
No, Jinzo, I'm not sure if you're still there or not, or if to run away and take care of some stuff. Just totally trash talking, bro. I'm excited for the showdown, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, absolutely, WAF. I would love to. If it's MVHQ or over on Twitter somewhere, definitely would love to do a recap of all the games in the week.
Yeah, sure. I guess final notes. I guess we got a little bit of time, but like, what do you think overall as far as the market's concerned? So we got like this pump up today. Like, are you excited, or is it like boring still? Like, what do you think?
I mean, I still think we're in like that chop range, and honestly, I have just really been enjoying wheeling options in traditional stocks. Like, Nvidia has just been my vehicle. I still do buy the edges on Bitcoin. So like anytime it gets close to 50K, I just continue to scale into it. Same thing with Solana. I've just been continuing to scale into that. I definitely do want to give a little glimpse. At some point, I got to write a field report on my AVO strategy, but that has been just cruising. My hit rate has been really good on shorting some vaporware in the space, so I've been super stoked on that. But overall, in the broad market, I would say it's probably going to continue to be chop until we can get some seasonality. I know Jake shouted out earlier on Wake and Jake that September is like one of the worst months in the market. So I definitely love your sentiment behind Uptober. But yeah, for the most part, like I really just try not to get too emotional in either direction. When things pump, I try to sell off a little bit if I bought on the low. For like permanent bags, just add to it on dips, and other than that, just really don't overreact either way. So I'm just expecting more chop. I don't really think there's going to be too much of a catalyst either way. I think a lot of people are going to wait and see what happens with the election. I did think it was interesting. I was really curious why Warren Buffett sold like all of his Apple stocks. That was something that was a catalyst for a big sell-off, and we had a pretty big sell-off toward the end of the week last week with tech. He just released an article. I'm not sure if it was like this weekend or maybe early last week, but he was just saying the reason he did it is because taxes are so low, and he foresees a situation where taxes on those gains might increase in the future. So I'm not sure if that's him, accounting for a certain result for the election, or if that's just his belief on policy. But hearing that as his rationale behind it did make me feel a little bit better that, hey, that just has to do with rates and his expectations of that, and not necessarily a belief that this market is topped. So I think we're going to chop for a while, but I don't think we're really destined higher or lower at this point in time.
I kind of agree for September, like that's the case. I just dropped this table that we've been talking about probably over the last week or so, randomly in different threads. But this is like the Bitcoin price, by year, by month, and you can just see like September is traditionally a down month, like really down, even in halving years and in bull years, and down more even in bearish years. But then you get to October, right? And you got 2 red months like in October since 2013. And then if you go back to the last halving in 2020, we were up 27% in October, then 42% in November, and then I guess another 45% in December. So I think we could do something like that. And I know that sounds like absolutely retarded right now and not feasible, but I think we could, something like that could still happen. We're going into this cuts, could be more cuts if the market's not 100% right. And it's just sort of like the time we've been consolidating for so long. It's like we've made that analogy of a beach ball being held down under the water. I just think that it's Q4. It's got to be time. I was hoping it would be September. I was completely wrong about September. September's notoriously a red month. I thought after Labor Day people would be back, but I think people taking extended holidays, and it's gonna be October. I just can't see. If you look at the past halving years, it's all green. October, November, December, every halving year. So I just feel like that's what we're gonna see in Q4.
Yeah, and I mean, a Santa Claus rally is a pretty common way to end the year. It's not to say that seasonality always hits, but a lot of the times it does. For me, the big thing is just looking at where we came from 2 years ago, let's say, to today. There was always the use case for Bitcoin and people saying it's the new gold standard, and by that literally just having a finite resource that is going to be worth a lot over time. But now it's really officialized with the Bitcoin ETF and just crypto introducing the big boys into it. So I think there's really a floor that's introduced there. Obviously, if the whole overarching economy and stock market takes a dive, I'm sure crypto is going to sell off with it. But the whole idea here is with these big players involved that there's a point that is just so appealing to buy that there's not going to be much more selling pressure. So where we did see a huge sell-off with crypto, I want to say a year and a half ago, and we saw ETH at about $1,000 and Bitcoin went down to 12 or 16K in that range. Here we are. And even though it seems like, oh my gosh, it's nuking, it almost hit 50K, it's held 50K phenomenally through all of these spooks and all the scares. So I think they're just establishing exactly like you're saying, that consolidation area, and there's only a matter of time till we see a big pump, and then you get the FOMO from people on the sidelines, and they're like, shit, I should have bought more. So I really think it's going to be explosive. When we pass through 70 into 80, we could go right up to 100K or something. So it's just waiting until then. But these are the times that, you always got to be building during the bear, like they say. So just got to keep staying glued to the market, wait for opportunities. Really appreciate how glued you are to Fractal's laugh and just calling out new stuff as it emerges in the market. So, wherever the market takes us, we're going to be here as MVHQ to catch it together. And I think that's all you can ask for at the end of the day.
Yeah, for sure. And I personally don't think there's a recession coming or anything like that. I just think we're going to kind of continually climb up, and then we'll have that occasional panic and scare, and then, a little bit of sell-off, and then kind of climb a wall of worry up again, and just sort of melt up, all the way up until we get to what we've been expecting all along.
Yeah, I could definitely see it. It's hard to say. We technically were in a recession at one point just because it was slow growth for multiple periods in a row. I definitely want to touch base and have an episode with Shaggy at some point just to really get his thoughts as to where we're heading. I know most people think we're in the clear till 2025. I definitely agree with them. I really wouldn't be surprised if we see a blow off top, and we've seen that with crypto specifically a few years where things kind of cool down, and then exactly like you said, October, November, December really heats up, blow off top in January, and then just a very sharp correction for a few months. I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. But I do think before you see that super sharp correction, we'll probably see a pump leading into that. So it'll be a good time for people who are holding some bags to offload. Could be a good time for us to trade for a couple months. But only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, it's never different. It's always the same. When people say this time is different, it's just never different. It's just always the same. The dips always happen after the euphoria, right? So, right now we're not at a greedy level. So I think we'll just continually to slowly ascend. I mean, I think we'll be range bound for the next 3 weeks, and then when October hits, I think we'll start seeing, that climb back over 60, and then maybe we could take off a bit.
I love it. I definitely love it. I can see that absolutely, and hopefully we form that solid base around 60 this weekend. Ralph, I know you have a hard stop here, so once again, dude, just want to shout you out for your knowledge of the space. Really looking forward to diving into fractals, keeping my fingers crossed I got a little something in the wallet, but just appreciate you as always, man. Thank you so much for co-hosting, and appreciate the audience for tuning in as always.
Thank you, Ross. Talk to you later, bro.
You too, man. Have a great rest of your week. I'll catch you next time.
Later.